All right, welcome back to the program. I'm going to get right to my guest, but I want to introduce him real quick. I brought him on to talk about the second assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump. And once I give you some of his street cred, if you will, you'll understand why. I've had him on my podcast several times. Dr. Curry Meyers, he has a PhD, MBA, and an MBA. He's a faculty member at Benedictine College, the criminology department. He's a senior visiting fellow for the Texas Public Policy Foundation. He started his law enforcement career as a Kansas State trooper, and then he became a special agent with the Kansas Bureau of Investigations. Also included a 6-year assignment with the U.S. Department of Justice, the DEA. And he also became, in 2003, the sheriff of Johnson County in Kansas, serving one of the largest populated counties in Kansas, located in the Kansas City metropolitan area. And also, he has a show as well. I mean, just so much to get to. We have a short period of time, but your resume is just long here, Doc. So anyway, I wanted to get that real quickly because I wanted people to look at that. Look at that. People are already going nuts for you, Doc. So Dr. Curry Meyers, just real quickly here, I want to try to get in as many questions as I can and as many answers from you as I can. Give us understanding the depth of, you've covered situations like this where a president may have been in town in your vicinity. You've worked for the Kansas, Bureau of Investigations. You've worked as sheriff, so you understand that there's got to be some. They've got to work together in areas like this. Give us your take on this second assassination attempt of Trump, and now knowing that the Secret Service hadn't covered the vicinity like they should have. Crazy.
It is crazy. A pleasure to be on the show. Thanks so much for having me. The takeaway I have is that the United States Secret Service that I used to work with many times is formerly one of the finest law enforcement agencies in the world. And they really understood the importance of force protection, crime prevention through environmental design, and threat assessments. In fact, they wrote the book. In my opinion, they were one of the leading federal agencies in writing the book on those principles as well in the 1980s. And we're seeing today a manifestation of them not doing any of those things, which is absolutely mind-boggling to me. And it concerns me because I have a great affection for the organization. But this is a serious leadership problem that we have in the Secret Service. It's been a lack of leadership, and it's been that way for probably the last half decade or so, similar to some of the situations that we've had with the FBI, that we've kind of lost control, and they're not operating as the once great agency that they were at one time.
Okay, so again, I'm speaking to Dr. Curry Meyers. The Secret Service admitted to not searching the perimeter of the golf course. Listen, Doc, you have tons of law enforcement experience, and you baffled me one time. We talked about this in the podcast. You got to go back and search for it, guys, at the Carl Jackson show, where Dr. Curry Meyers literally worked undercover for quite some time. Just insane. I can't even fathom that, and it always amazes me just thinking about it. But I'm looking at this headline: Secret Service admits to not searching perimeter of the golf course. I understand that President Trump kind of went on the fly, but I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, Doc. Okay, Mr. President, you want to go here? We're gonna have to do just a sweep of the vicinity real quickly. That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
Well, I don't buy the fact that the presidents of the United States and former presidents and people running the office are constantly operating on the fly. The Secret Service works for the president of the United States or the protectees that they're assigned to. It's not the opposite. They can certainly guide them, and they make recommendations. Sir, I don't think I would do this, or ma'am, I don't think I would do this. But ultimately, if it happens all the time, people have lives and they live their lives. And this is a perfect example. Well, okay, it may be not have been a movement on the books with the Secret Service, but it doesn't matter. Wherever you go, you adapt to it. You adapt to it quickly. And President Trump has golfed on this golf course before it. It's his golf course, one of many. But if you know that to be the case, you would have crime prevention through environmental standards that are on that golf course. You wouldn't have any hiding locations. This was a known hiding location, Carl. It was known to the public that this was a place where the media could go and hide out and be able to come out and ask questions and take pictures of people. That should have been a main focus of their attention. I'm thankful that the Secret Service was able to notify the potential shooter and able to take action, and kudos for that. But if that wasn't done, then we would have had another problem, because if he would have rounded in and come into the next hole, then you're literally having a person with an AK-47 with a scope that is within a couple hundred yards, maybe even closer, because he might be in a golf cart, and it makes any protectee placed in a dangerous position. So this goes back to the fact that there hasn't been force protection done, and these are, again, things that leadership should ensure that President Trump has. Now, President Trump is a former president, so former presidents get a scaled-down version of what the true president gets. But we know that President Trump is different. Number one, he's running for president again, and the head of the Republican Party, and running for president again. Number two, President Trump's threat assessment in itself is at a high risk, a very high risk. So not having the resources that are equal to a president of the United States is mind-boggling to me, to include air operations, drone operations, multiple sniper capabilities, and plenty of perimeter support, not just support surrounding the president, but perimeter support to ensure that the protectee stays safe.
Yeah, and apparently, according to the gentleman that's running the Secret Service now, he basically had all of that, with the exception of he didn't have the perimeter protection, which didn't make sense to me. We only have a minute and a half in this block. If you could stay with me for one more block, Doc, I would appreciate that. This guy was, he built an assassin's nest. I mean, he was there for 12 hours. Now, I don't know if he had inside information. I don't know if it was just a lucky guess. But either way, I'm like, he was there for 12 hours. Does that make sense?
Well, once again, if he does any intelligence gathering on his own, then he may, if he studies it well enough, he may end up knowing, okay, the president's in this general vicinity. We know that he likes to golf. There's probably a high probability, and one can make an assumption, that he may get on the course as a result of being at this location. So he may be hedging his bets and say, I'm going to go out and see if I can get a chance at him. So that's probably the reason he was there for at least 12 hours, but he wanted to in bed early enough in the morning where he could get there, get everything situated to your point, be able to develop a sniper nest around him, and be able to then be patient and wait. And this person has a background. Again, he spent time overseas in Ukraine trying to recruit people to go fight on their behalf.
Hey, Doc, so hold it there because we're almost done with this block. We only have about 10 seconds left. So hold your thought there. I'll be back more with Dr. Curry Meyers, America's criminologist, talking about the second assassination attempt on Trump when we get back. Hey, Carl Jackson here. You've asked, and MyPillow has listened. They're finally bringing you the most requested offer ever. Right now, you can get the queen-size premium MyPillow for just $19.98. MyPillow is made with a patented adjustable feel. It adjusts to your exact individual needs, regardless of your sleep position. It helps to keep your neck aligned, and it holds its shape all night long, so you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. You can get their 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets for just $25. the brand new mattress topper for as low as $69.98, and their famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25, and so much more. Go to MyPillow.com or give them a call at 800-858-0263. Use the promo code Carl, that's CARL, I don't spell it like the communists, to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen size MyPillow for just $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay. Order today. Use promo code Carl at checkout. All right, welcome back to the program. I'm joined by my guest, Dr. Curry Meyers. You can find him on X at Dr. Curry Meyers. He spells Curry, C-U-R-R-I-E, not like the chicken in case you guys get hungry out there. So Dr. Curry Meyers, he's one of America's leading criminologists. I love going to him on issues like this. He is so well-versed when it comes to law enforcement. Okay, Doc. So you were talking a little bit about this gentleman because he wasn't unknown to the FBI, and there was even a write-up in the Wall Street Journal where when this gentleman traveled to Ukraine because he wanted to be a part of the fight, the nurse that evaluated him, I'm assuming it's a mental health counselor, if you will, basically said the guy is crazy, the guy is dangerous. So one of the worst I've run across. So that's a little astonishing to me.
True. I mean, there's so many markers and red flags that get missed when these things occur. So he is a convicted felon. He's known to be a convicted felon. As a matter of fact, that's the main charge right now, is a convicted felon in possession of a firearm. It's going to be an upcharge because the firearm had an obliterated serial number. So that's going to be an upcharge and potentially up to 15 years in prison. That's assuming that they don't build enough evidence to go after him for some attempted murder. It just depends on the evidence. But he violated and had previous convictions in North Carolina in 2002 and then again in 2010, again for possessing a firearm. And then the FBI was given a tip and interviewed him in 2019 and did not verify the information and ended up closing the case. They informed local law enforcement about it. So not spending time on this 2019 investigation is, again, where I don't understand why you have somebody that has that amount of issues, mental health issues. They know he's been arrested now multiple times for firearm possession, and they don't continue to open that door a little further in the 2019 investigation to find out what's going on. And it goes back to we have a significant mental health problem in America today. We are not treating people. We're enabling people. We've talked about this. You and I have talked about this before. And we don't have the kind of mental health care for people who are criminally insane. We don't have facilities anymore, and quite frankly, the jails, if you ask any sheriff in America, the jails have ostensibly become the mental health asylums of America today.
Man, that's so true. And I'm glad you were willing to say that, to be honest with you, Doc, because I think that's probably another podcast for another day. As a matter of fact, that's a really good point. Let me bring this up to you. Okay, so Governor Ron DeSantis is now saying that he's going to have the state investigate this. I think he was attempting to murder former President Donald Trump on different charges. Why? And we just have a few minutes left, so I want to get in a few more questions here. But why would they go with the firearms charge as opposed to upgrading now, or maybe even to something like attempted murder? Is it just because they don't feel like they have evidence? They need to find or just hold them? What's going on here?
Well, it was a way to have an initial charge that is proven and factual so they could hold him, so they can gather information for the rest. That's my guess. I mean, that's what I would have done because it takes time to prove a case if you're going to have an attempted murder case. Sure. So it takes time to cultivate information and gather exhibits in order to do that. And the states still have a responsibility to investigate crime. Crime doesn't go away just because it was someone who was against the crime occurred and the victim was a former president of the United States. That's where law enforcement should work together. And there's two avenues. The actual murder or attempted murder might be a better charge to go through state government because there might be additional years to add on as opposed to the federal government. So that's probably one of the reasons. The other thing is there could be potentially a conflict of interest. The same group that has investigated the former president of the United States for supposed criminal acts, and actually did a search warrant in Florida, is now investigating. The Secret Service did the protectee, but if something happens, the FBI comes in and investigate. Potentially, that's a conflict of interest. So I think you have to also pay attention to that to make sure there's checks and balances in our system to make sure things are done correctly and done fairly.
Okay, that's good. Now, let me ask you this, just about 2.5 minutes left, and I want to ask another question after this as well. Either these guys are seriously, it seems to me, obviously not the people that are directly around the former president, but the leadership, incompetent, or is there something more nefarious going on?
Yes and yes. I don't think you could exclude either one, quite frankly. And I hate to say that, but we're still dealing. We don't know anything about the first assassination attempt, Carl. There hasn't been good communication out to the public. We don't know what's going on with that particular case. That's also an FBI issue because they're involved in the investigation. But the Secret Service in itself there's a couple of things that they've lost the ability to do. They've lost operational control and oversight over their protectees. They have lost the ability to have effectiveness and interagency communication. That's the second. As a result, there's routine and complacency. That occurs all the times in law enforcement. It occurs often in times where you're not doing anything, and then all of a sudden it becomes a routine, and then all of a sudden something happens, you got to respond to it. They've become encased in routine and complacency, and then they failed to get someone with a high threat level to actually get the needs that they have on on detainees. They're failing in field intelligence to ensure that they have update information on where people are at and what they're doing. And I dare say one of the other problems is this could be other issues associated with hiring the wrong people and especially DEI initiatives. And that's last but not least. You are what you eat. You're a reflection of the people that you hire. And if you're hiring people not based on meritocracy, this is what you get in America. Law enforcement cannot be DEI hires. They have to be based on meritocracy, and they have to be based on individual talents of officers coming to work for you.
All right, that's a strong case to make. We got 30 seconds, so this has to be quick here, Doc. But, I mean, people are calling, basically, Democrats are basically blaming Trump. Your response to that, real quickly.
I have no words. I mean, I can't believe that even under situations like this, it still becomes highly politicalized. It's an absolute shame. This is a problem that has to be taken into account, and if we don't get it right, it could affect other protectees down the road.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Follow him on X at Dr. Curry Meyers.
All right, guys, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble, and subscribe to The Carl Jackson Show. Until next time, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.